Okay, so let me call the meeting to order. I am calling to order the regular meeting of the Richmond Arts and Culture Commission. Today, Thursday, February 8th, 2024, it is 7:01. So I will start by calling roll. So Kaylin is out, she's absent. She told us she was gonna be sick. And then, let's see, staff is Winifred is here. Philip?
Yes.
Teddy?
Here.
Carol?
Here.
Our Lady?
Here.
And Virginia?
Here.
So everybody is here, except for Kaylin. And welcome. And so we have a fairly simple agenda for this evening, so hopefully the meeting will just move right along. So we've got a lot of updates and reports for people to give. So we're going to start by approving today's meeting agenda. Hopefully you had a chance to look it over. Does anybody have any comments, questions, additions to this evening's agenda? If not, can I get a motion to accept the agenda? Teddy, and may I get a second? Virginia, all in favor? May I see with a show of hands? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Okay, so then we can move on to the meeting minutes from our January 11th meeting. Did you all, hopefully you had a chance to take a look at them. I did have one correction. It shows, it's right on the cover, so it shows that Melody was absent when in actuality she had resigned. So I don't think that's an absence. Maybe we can have another category of resignations or whatever. It shows her absent, but she actually was gone by then. She had resigned. Okay.
It does say that in the second paragraph down below.
It does, but I don't think she should be under the absent.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
just remove her from that.
All right.
Okay. And then, let's see, I did have some follow-up questions, but I think that's really all I had in terms of corrections. Anybody else have any comments or corrections for the minutes from the January 11th meeting?
I move to approve.
All right, can I get a second? Teddy gives a second, by show of hands, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to public comments. None?
I have one.
Okay.
This ties in a little bit with a later report, but I want to do it separate.
Are these comments from yourself? Or are these,
As opposed to what?
so public comments are usually from people, not commissioners, but
Yeah.
people from the
can-
outside.
Commissioners can comment on things that are not on the agenda. Anyway, I'll make it short then. I want people to think about what's going to happen citywide when Betty Soskin dies. Because there'll be a lot of things going on, a lot of people paying attention. There'll be the National Park Service, the Rosie the River, to the Rotary Club, everybody, City Council. And what are we gonna be a part of? So I just wanna throw that to think about ahead of time. I mean, it's kind of, it is, yeah. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so moving on to the, and the way that public comments works is we cannot respond to public comments in the meeting, so that's why you're getting no feedback.
That's right.
Okay, so let's move on to item 4, information items. Budget wish list. Do you want to give us a sort of an update on where things are, and then we can see if any of the commissioners have items they want to add to the wish list. I think this is going to be the last meeting where we're going to actually be able to add things to our budget wish list.
That would be correct. The window is about to close. department and all the divisions are adding any comments and corrections and anything they want to add for next year's fiscal year budget. So in terms of arts and culture, some of the items that we'll be adding have to do with maintenance, mostly. As an example, Oakwood Park has about $10,000 worth of maintenance items that we will be paying for. We're working in collaboration with Public Works. Some items are more specific to Public Works, but at the landscaping division, but others they're all indirectly art related because it's art in the park. So one example is that I'm not sure if the last meeting we talked about the cat challenge, but there's a resident who's been feeding feral cats in the park, and we're getting ready to add signage to the park to ask her politely not to do that. And we were able to actually observe that it's almost like a little cat concert underneath the bushes, that there's layers of, that whoever this person is, they've created a habitat for the feral cats. They have the water there, the food there, everything a cat could possibly want. But the challenge is that after they finish eating that food, they were using the plant beds as their place to relieve themselves. And the purpose of the whole purpose of Oakwood Park is to create medicinal plants that the Aloni family is able to harvest and actually use. So they cannot use they can't consume any of the strawberries and all of, any of the natural medicinal items that are in that park for human consumption if they're contaminated. So we're going to most likely create some new signage further into the park, closer to where the plant beds are, to explain to people what the purpose of the park is, because we've got a really nice sign that's way far away from these plant beds, and maybe people have never actually read that sign before. So one solution is to create some more signage. Another solution is basically to remove 18 inches of soil and re-feed, if you will, the plant beds, but we have to do a couple other things in addition to that. So,
Can animal control be a part
I'm
of
sorry,
it?
Phil had his
I'm
hand up.
sorry.
I said, being a man of the garden, it's relatively easy to put wire screens over that size of a raised bed. It's very easy to do that. And that would help. I mean, probably the cats aren't going to be walking on that very much. You get that chicken wire and
Mhm.
put a little frame around it and put it on there. That would keep them out.
That's a possible solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you'd have to remove it though for people to pick the fruit, right?
Well, it seems as though the majority of the locations where they were relieving themselves were areas where there weren't as many high plants. But I'll share that information, Phil, with them.
Yeah, I
and
think that's a good idea.
It's up to them. I know that several people have offered the suggestion of different kinds of plants that would deter cats, like I think it's rosemary and certain types of plants, and then we were informed that those were not natural plants to this region. There's a whole lot of reasons why they have certain plants there and why certain other plants are not. So we're going to continue to work on that. We also have DG, which is disposable granite, which lines the path. That for those of you who've been there, you see there's a lot of weeds that are growing up in random places. So basically the parks, the landscape team is going to reline the path with metal instead of plastic, which is what the original landscape designers used, and the plastic is breaking apart, and it just was a cheap solution essentially. So we're going to pay more and do it right, and add more. Some of the money is going to add more plants, and there's a variety. We have quite a list of things that that we're going to do in order to improve the quality of the park.
And DG would have to be maintained, right, because that kind of blows away sometimes.
Well, there'll be layers of it, and it'll be
Okay.
compacted, but right now, apparently, the folks who installed it didn't put that extra layer of whatever the layer is that keeps the plants from
Come
Coming
through.
through.
Yeah, it's a plastic, probably, usually it's
It's
a
a liner.
black liner,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And animal control help partner to help with some ideas on the cats too?
I'll make a note of that.
I'm just wondering.
Well, right now, it's considered as a code violation for this person to be feeding the
Yeah.
cats in the first place. And,
Mm.
you know, she's trying to do what she feels is the right thing, and she doesn't realize that it's causing a problem.
Well, we have that in our community, and we have squirrels who think they're cats.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's really bad to do that kind of stuff, because people can get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, if those cats scratch somebody or bite somebody or whatever, they could have rabies or have all kinds of stuff.
But I feel that having a really polite and nice conversation with this lady
Mm.
and trying to bring her to the final product, that it is herbs and it is feeding families, maybe she even can help harvest, I think it will bring more like, oh, now I understand. It's not just stop feed the cats, it is a process.
Education.
Yeah, and sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes including her in this process, she will well understand and help us instead, bringing more problems to us. Maybe there's a solution.
So the folks from Public Works, the gentleman who manages the park, he has communicated with her on multiple occasions, and so good idea. I think I'll take all of your suggestions and share them so that we can create a harmonious situation where she's only she's an animal, cat lover,
Yeah.
so you can't.
Maybe she could put them in her backyard.
Take home.
Oftentimes, people like that, I'm generalizing, have a psychological need to have a
Right.
pet with them, and you feel like they're contributing, so I think, like I said, the conversation would be real helpful.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, and I've already given them a copy of the text that's on the signage, because maybe some of the folks have never read that, and to actually have a flyer that explains it might be a good thing to do. So we think that most likely this person lives in the community that's across the street, and so anyway, we're gonna communicate a little bit more, but right now there's some new signage that is going to go up, and we're going to do some remediation, like I said, that will allow some plants to continue to grow there, especially since we've had all this great rain, and spring will be here before we know it, and the new plants will be coming up, and so.
That's true.
Do you feel like the arrangement, the agreement, the contract with the Alonis is working out?
The Adopt a Park?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I think it's more than they anticipated in terms of what needs to be done. They come like once a month. They need to come more often, but they have volunteers who actually have to sign up, and there's some waivers, several things that they can't just come and help. They actually have to have permission in order to do that. So we're going to continue to communicate with them, because it's a long-term commitment. And in general, people really do like the park, but these little things we have to work on a little bit.
Is that the park right over near Meridian? Fine.
Right by
Right by
the
PG&E?
train.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
train,
Is
yeah,
that one?
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, just speaking of PG&E, they were using pesticides for their weeds across the street, but those pesticides are contributing to
Contamination.
across the street in the
Big
park.
challenge going from Kaiser's PG&E. Keep it on the down
Well,
low.
we spoke with them, and they said
Oh,
that
sorry.
they would not
was nice.
Lots to work on.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, we thought it would be a simple park.
Yeah, I do want to add that Tony Tamayo came in about 7:10 from the mayor's office. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You have new glasses?
I did.
Look good.
Mhm.
So clean cut.
I thought it was hairstyle. I say, okay, everybody has a hairstyle. February.
So if I could continue and add a few more things to the maintenance list. We have quite a few murals that have been tagged throughout the city. John Morley's mural is a separate contract through Caltrans, but through all with, let's say for instance, Richard Salazar has 6 murals that have been tagged, so we are working with him to identify exactly where the murals are, how much it will cost to clean them up, and all those kinds of things. So it's not just him. The Greenway has some murals that have been tagged that need to be cleaned. So those are items that are on our
Maintenance wish list, and part of our maintenance budget in the wish list.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we last year had identified some of the wish list items.
Mhm. Yes, please tell us.
They included some new artwork, so we still have $100,000 for some other new artwork that could be installed, commissioned. Construction management that's can partially involved with maintenance because it's indirectly, I mean, if it's a new park and there was some construction like Ukway that we're talking about, some of the things that we were talking about as maintenance were actually part of the construction contract, so some things kind of cross over a little bit. Planning, we are talking about the we already did the master planning, but the cultural planning is a different
Mhm.
contract, so this year we'll be looking to put together a call for a consultant to do that work. We have some additional money that we want to add to grants. None of the, that wouldn't duplicate any of, like NPA mini grant. It'd be a completely different type of grant. Some cities do grants, let's say it might be a $25,000 unconditional type grant where an artist would receive the funds and they can come up with some special project that is not on our list, but it's something that someone else might want to do. And so those are the type of things. Website maintenance, we do have a new staff person who's been working on improving the website. I don't know if you guys have looked at it lately, but it's more readable now.
A lot more.
Yeah.
So we're making slow but sure progress.
So that 100,000 was attached to what? What was it? Was it supposed to be for the Kennedy Park project?
That's separate.
So it was another 100,000 that we had set aside, and that's not attached to anything at
Not
the
yet,
moment.
no. So maybe at the next meeting, we can talk about that. But basically, Kennedy Park is one project that had a $100,000 budget, and before it was a Kennedy Park project, we did just for those background for those of you who weren't around 2 years ago, when we started looking at the art inventory, we were looking at locations around the city that were underserved, like parks that don't have any public art compared to some parks that have a lot of artwork. So Hilltop had a couple of locations, a couple of parks over there that don't have art either. So somewhere in Hilltop might be a new location for another $100,000 project, just as an example. And in terms of how we identify those parks, we solicited the what's called the Neighborhood Coordinating Council. There are 44 neighborhoods in the city of Richmond, and each of those neighborhoods have, let's say, a president for their council. So though each of those neighborhoods were able to complete like a little application that said we want to have artwork in our park. So we'll look back to what people said a few years ago and pick up other parks. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here, but like we know that Hilltop is another location. So next year we'll look at putting a piece of artwork that's significant in a Hilltop.
How many councils participated?
I think there were 6.
6 out of 30 or 40?
And maybe one of them would have included, let's say, Point Richmond, and we know that in Point Richmond, there's already
A lot of art.
Lots of art.
so we did not include Point Richmond as part of our target. We're looking more for, like I said, those underserved communities. So we'll reach out again, and this is an ongoing effort.
So this money that we're talking about for this budget is for next year,
It's
not this year.
Yeah, it's the wish list is for next year,
Right,
but some of these items
We have-
cross over
yeah.
between budget years.
Okay, so, so we had a little bit of a conversation about the youth, right? And so I would like to, can we put something in the budget? Can I add a budget item, wish list youth support for summer programming? Or we'll have to figure out how we might want to spend this money on young people. But we do have an art summer camp.
Who is we?
Well, I mean, there is an art summer camp
Where,
for youth.
do you know what's?
Isn't connected to, yeah, it's connected to your project, your art,
Oh, you're talking about the Art Academy?
yeah.
They don't need our money for that, though. The university provides the funds for that.
So, but we were gonna try to figure out why it was that so many of the young people who signed up didn't complete so if there was something that we could do to support them, was sort of what I was thinking.
Okay.
Wait, so tell me, you said the kids that signed up didn't complete the program?
Yeah, and so,
That was the summer academy that?
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
And
and
what
so,
is it, what is the age range?
high schoolers,
Okay.
Well, for the summer program, it's freshmen, sophomore, and juniors.
Mhm.
And then seniors have an opportunity to apply, well, actually, it's not an application, it's a recommendation for a 4-year scholarship program. And last year, the student who received the award was a junior in the previous year and did the summer program. So we moved it forward, she was already familiar with what was the expectations, and she also had an IGPA and all the other things on our checklist that we were looking for candidates. So we'll do the same thing this year. And Virginia can maybe chime in a little bit later with the update, which you may or may not have until tomorrow. But I think if
So
you make
there's-
a recommendation, hold on a second.
Yeah.
If you make a recommendation for something like, a summer program, at our next meeting, if you could come back with a proposal to support the recommendation, that's really what we need you to do, instead of us trying to figure out something that it's not defined.
and we already actually have something on our plan here that says survey youth-focused organizations for art programming.
Okay.
Even if we did something like that, that would bring us more up to date with what's happening with the young people. I think that's what I'm really interested in finding out is,
Where is that?
that's on our, of the 11 recommendations from the plan. And so it's recommendation number 1, which is to support artists of all ages, and one of the items that we mentioned was to survey youth-focused organizations for art programming.
You're not gonna find that in what you have here today.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I brought
It's
this,
been passed out
Yeah.
in the past, plus
Yeah.
the recommendations that Barbara Goldstein and her team
yes,
came up with, that's where it comes from. And we
Yeah.
talked about it in our retreat as well.
right, yeah. So, okay, so if we get a little budget, then we can figure out how to spend the money for youth, do something for youth.
Okay.
Okay, and,
So you're right, though, this will be the last main time that the wish list for 24-25 is on the agenda, because the window closes like in 2 weeks, so.
Can I add to that list?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes, you did have something. I saw something in the minutes, actually, that I wanted to, but go ahead. No, you go.
No, my addition would be to create a UPA grant mentorship incentive.
Yeah.
Basically, the purpose is to create awareness, establish an artist network where artists are teaching and educating other artists that have been recipients and past recipients of the NPA grant. So it's kind of like, I think you mentioned it last.
Yeah,
um,
we did.
Reach one, teach one.
Yes,
Using
yes.
that concept. And also too, I think it would be just great building this artist network within the Richmond community and building trust with other artists so we can, you know, have this retention and this cycle of continuous artist involvement and connection with rap.
So to add to that, would you say that you're talking about adding some additional funds to whatever the $9,000, let's say for instance, that one award might have, offer money on top of that if the candidate is willing to do some mentorship? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So that's the kind of thing we need you to spell out and define a little bit
Yeah,
more.
there has
How
to
much
be like.
money it's like an incentive
Right.
basically, but you need to define it.
Yeah,
And that's something that's very possible.
okay.
I'll put that on the budget for next time.
That's what
I mean, I'm
saying.
sorry, put it on the agenda for next time.
Yeah, and he'll bring back a recommendation that we can actually talk about that has more details.
Okay. I can give you a little if you like.
Not right now, we need you to put it in writing,
Got it.
spell it out, it's like,
Well, I think it'd be a good idea to have him do a little brainstorming on his idea. I mean, the way to kill it is to say, go home and write a report for it and a proposal and come back in writing what you want to do. I think that can happen, but I think before that, talk to him, let him express his ideas and brainstorm a little bit on it. That's my suggestion.
thanks, Phil.
Okay, thank you.
You wanna add any more, Ned?
Okay, so just at a high level.
Yes.
And I noticed this during my experience working with Winston and Kaylin last MPA grant season, during the application process, that there are like, you know, at least maybe 5 to 8 return recipients. So looking at that, I think one of the questions that I had for myself in regards to this potential program is, you know, what are the qualifications of being a mentor? How many mentors can we have in a season? How much, right? How much of a budget would it take? And should there be a limit to the number of mentees or mentors that we have in a given MPA mini grant season? So right now, just if you just want to go cut to the chase and get to some numbers, I'm looking at like a $10,000 budget. Basically, we have a maximum of 5 mentors per season, if it gets to that much, because not everyone wants to be mentored. And I think there's like a $9,000 reward. If you are a mentor, you would receive, and a successful mentor, you would receive 20% of your mini grant, which would be about $1,800.
So you have to define what success means.
Right, and success, this, you know, at a high level would mean I mentor Virginia, and during the application process, she was granted a mini grant reward. So of course it wouldn't stop there. I would continue to mentor her through that year, making sure that she is, you know, successful in whatever program or art she's doing. I think at the same time, there should be some kind of like a survey for each mentor and mentee of how one's being taught and how one is being responsive to that teaching.
So, and those are all really good ideas. So, and also, oh goodness, I was going to say something. So somebody would have to develop a survey, for example. So if you want to, you'd have to have 2 surveys, one for the mentor and one for the mentee. And then also, you'd also have to have a sort of a scope of work, in a sense, for what the mentorship involves. How many hours do we expect that person to mentor the mentee? you know, and how is that mentorship gonna happen kind of thing. So we can spend some time, I think, flushing all that out. And once we actually have, because it's really sort of like a program. And so we have to get all the pieces in order, and then we can attach some funding, extra funding to it for the grantees. Right, and so we'll have to figure out $1,800 might be kind of a lot, but we'll see, because it's only a short, 6 months or 8 months. So we just need to figure it out. Do they meet with them once a month, for example, or how does that mentoring work, kind of a thing.
They could
So
also tie in with an artist in resident. An artist in resident, mentoring would be part of that project. So tie in with what Ted's saying, I think.
yeah, so we just need to work on defining what this. Actually, I wrote it down. I called it a grantee mentorship fund. So that we put the money in, and to set aside extra NPA or actually public art funds. I don't know if they have to be NPA, but
It depends on what type of project it is.
yeah, okay, for the
As long as it's a
mentoring.
public art related project,
Okay.
then the funds
Could come from the public art fund. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, like that. So we'll get that going. And then also for the, I also was remembering about the library. So did we have funding to do anything with the library?
I think we can add that to our conversation in another section,
Okay,
so that we can make sure to get to the agenda and then we.
okay, all right, so but
People might want to report on.
put it in the wish list, on the wish list though. I wanna have it on the wish list. Okay.
Two projects.
Okay, go ahead, Virginia.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
so my wish list comes under recommendation number 3,
Mhm.
support art that connects people with nature, and this goes back to Kennedy Park.
Mhm.
I haven't done any proposal yet or really gotten into the detail,
Mhm.
but there's one section in there, the Rose Garden,
Mhm.
that has been neglected for years and needs to be re-landscaped. And there's a path that can be developed into an artistic type of path. But anyway, so I would like to come back next meeting with a proposal and
And
some
the-
details about
Okay, and so it would be to do what? What, tell me.
revitalize the Rose Garden.
Okay,
But
so,
then I have to think about how the art would connect. with-
that's right, that's
the
what we have to
nature.
do.
Where
right.
is the Rose Garden?
It's in Kennedy Park.
Which is about 21st and Cutting, which is.
Is it across the street from the school?
40th and
40th.
Cutting.
Cutting.
Across the street from the
yes.
school, yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And
Okay,
for
so,
those of you who
so
are
this
familiar, it's
Virginia.
This
posted
would be
at
a
the back of
sculpture
Easter
Rose
Hill.
Garden.
That would be
Commission, mini grants, put something in.
Some sculptures or something. So is this gonna be separate from the current project?
Yes.
So it'll be a second project?
Yes.
Yeah, and as a point of information, anything that's landscape only,
Mhm.
that wouldn't qualify for what we're talking about. That's why Phil, I think, is
Mhm.
suggesting if it's a sculpture that fits into the
Right.
Rose Garden, then that would make it qualify.
Mhm, mhm.
Because the Public Works, we're not expecting them to contribute funds to what we're talking about.
Mhm, mhm,
Can I add something to that?
mhm.
There's a Love Your Block mini grants as well
Mm.
that I think could tie into that, which is also a program of the city, but tailored more towards landscaping and beautifying of the street, and that's on a rolling grant basis.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be a good cooperative effort. Yeah.
Definitely. A collaborative.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, I would like to hear if you have any of the date, because on November, we started this conversation around the budget and wish list, and then I sent some topics, and then December, this was in November, explaining more. And now I just would like to see if was denied, if it is something that we are considering, apply those requests, yeah, just update on that.
Can you remind us of which ones, what project you're referring to?
I remember I said about it, having a youth assistant for the social media and creating our newsletter, having a rec newsletter to, you know, being out there. I remember him saying that we should take a trip as an art commission to anywhere where the art will be well received and we can learn something that is going on in other states. And then I presented 2 trips. One I had to cut down because it was in February and we cannot make it anymore. But the other one will be on April. And that one will be for Oklahoma. I searched the flights and everything else. And the other topic was having some type of budget where the commissioners can go to cultural and art related in our community, and if it has any fee related to that event, we don't have to pay from our pocket. We do have the support from the rec commission paying the fee for us, be present and representing the rec commission. I think was those, I cannot remember if I had any extra one, but I think those
That's
were
what I
the-
Yeah, I think
remember,
it was-
that's what I
Those are
remember.
Those are good.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah, just,
So if I could follow up for you regarding the idea of supporting public events with a stipend or whatever it might be. What I did was reach out to the police department who helps manage the list of the public events. I'm still waiting for them to get back to me with a full year of events. Because I think that once we have that list, then it's easier for us to be able to say this, we want to contribute to this event, that event, whichever one. Right now, they're doing solicitations, for instance, for Juneteenth. So that's a whole 6 months in advance, and that's the kind of notice that we really need in order to make the contributions that we're talking about. Is that what you're referring to?
I was thinking something more flexible and open, because in this way, you are telling us exactly which event we should go. But our community is rich and it is big, and like today I was hearing and reading a event that we'll have on Concord, but will be related to art and Black girls, and will be an incredible event, and the entrance, the fee is $150, and I was like, wow, I cannot pay $150 to go, but I think it will be really incredible. So you see, like, it's something that wasn't in my net, but if you are attaching the events to us, it is good, because we have the budget, but I think it is limiting ourselves to just what you know, just for one list.
What about California for the Arts? Do they have a conference coming up?
They had in February,
Oh, what's
yeah, and we couldn't go because,
the American for the Arts? I
yeah.
don't know where that one is.
But I think you sending to us exactly where we should go will be limiting ourselves for so many possibilities that we have in our community. And the other one was paying for the social media ads. So when we do some posts and we wanna highlight and we wanna reach more audience in our community, we should be paying for that. Last time that we spoke, you mentioned that would be easier, but I follow up with the emails, nobody answered me, and it's just stuck on that as well, so it's kind of
Sorry about that.
update on that.
Yeah, the social media part, we do have the funds available for that, so it's a matter of providing us with more details and understand, if the events are in Richmond
Mhm.
as opposed to in Concord, is that what you just mentioned? One of them was in
I
Concord?
just saw one today that
Oh.
it is related, it is local, right? Concord is not so
Mhm.
far. But it can be just local too, can be just Richmond.
Yeah.
I just feel that us being here as a volunteers and have to go there and pay to be there is kind of a lot.
Yeah,
So whatever you have, whatever will be the rules, it should be something
I think
flexible and
going
we can
outside, you bring back more information too,
call
right?
the
I mean,
communities.
there's more, I mean, if we stay just in Richmond, that's fine. But I think if we're looking at being more, having more variation and diversity of art and information and ideas, you're gonna find that if you're able to go outside a little bit too. I mean, within reason,
Mhm.
but I hear what you're saying.
Is there a way to have the city reimburse commissioners for?
that's probably.
Just put it in the budget. Just put travel in the budget, simple.
Yeah, but yeah, my
Well,
idea
it
was.
still has to be approved, so it has
So
to
that's
be.
why if there's an
yeah.
application, for instance, in order to, for that event,
Mhm.
you would need to be able to give us the application, have it filled out, and then we could.
Ahead of time, yeah. So as soon as you know that there's an event that you want to attend, then you just need to let us know so that we can figure out how to process any related expenses
Oh, okay.
related to that, cause it's not, you can't just go somewhere and bring your receipt and say, pay me. It kinda doesn't
Okay.
work that way,
And a lot of
right?
events have at least
Yeah.
a 6-month window, so if
Yeah.
we have the more time we have, the easier it is for us to support.
To,
you know.
yeah, to
Well,
get
I
the
would say
approvals,
with you
yeah.
doing social media,
Uh-huh.
I think she really, I mean, should have.
Oh, yeah, the social media is,
Opportunity,
yeah.
well, but I mean, going outside and bringing back ideas.
oh,
and
because
developing
she's
that,
the
making
social
it
media
bigger
person,
could
yeah,
be really
yeah,
helpful to us
yeah.
and our community.
Right,
More
sure,
with
sure.
information,
yeah.
where they go to this social media site even too, as some sort of a art bulletin board, if you will, with, different things that are going on.
Yeah, but my idea will have like, each commissioner has, for example, $300 a year. Got it? And they will, Virginia will select like, oh, I will go to this fair because it's incredible, and she can, wow, share with us or share with the community, the photos and everything else. And we can post that Virginia can send or tag us on the photos later that we, because I feel when Virginia is there, it's not just Virginia, it is we.
Mhm.
RAC is
Mhm.
there
Mhm.
representing us. So if each person has, for example, $300 a year, we can go all together, or we can go to many different places,
Mhm.
right? So
I'll
just-
find out what the regulations are around that and get
Mhm.
back to you at the next meeting.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's a
think
good
in
idea.
March, did you get the invitation from Gordon Huther?
Either, yeah,
Huther.
either.
It's a free event, yeah.
Free event, it's coming up, he's in Hillsburg, he's a world famous
It's in
artist.
Napa, yeah.
And he's done stuff here at Richmond.
Mhm.
That's the wall, that's his last wall right there.
Oh,
Oh,
But anyway, that'd be something to go to, that'd be real inexpensive, it'd be a matter of gas money.
That's have a glass of wine on the way.
What is it, March? I think it's in March.
He's gonna have wine there,
yeah.
I'm sure.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
feel the tank.
Yeah,
You look like you were gonna say something, Tony. No?
Ah, Tony.
laughing along.
yeah, so, okay, so we'll check into that and see if it's possible to get a small budget for each commissioner to attend, but that still means that you need to send an email, say, I wanna go here, do this, and so it needs to get approved,
Not-
even though you would
Not-
have a
Not just that
budget.
I wanna go here, but
Yeah.
to provide the background and
Yeah.
the flyer or whatever that's associated with it, because it would be something that I have to take to someone else to have it approved.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and again, those suggestions was just because, well, was requested from us, right? Like, what do you think we should be a wish list? Now it is a way that or will be denied, or like later go from there.
And it's a new idea for everybody.
Mhm.
So, it's a good idea. So she'll follow up and,
Yeah, I was gonna say, $300 is not enough. It's not enough to send you someplace.
Yeah.
The art commissioners used to be able to travel all around the country. The art commission sent me to, the arts commission sent me to Seattle one time, sent me to New Orleans one time, and Philadelphia one time, all in different years. The budget was there, and it wasn't just me, other people went also. But those are $1,000 trips or whatever it was. So, $300 for some little local event might work, but hey, we got
hey, we're
the
just
money here.
talking local.
Take that $100,000 and put 10,000 of it into a travel budget, or 15,000. I mean, it can just be done. We have the authority to do that. Move it around in the budget. You know, Shauna told us, hey, don't worry about it. I mean, you guys have a budget set, but if you want to move something into another category, just move it. We can do that. We can do that. Winifred knows how to do that.
We never, she did that number, right, Winifred? You want some wine?
I do understand that, but I also understand that everything has to have some kind of process and
Oh, sure.
that behind it in order
You are
to support it.
misprocessed, I understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But, we have to, it's not just our money per se, it's money that's.
Public dollars.
It's public dollars, so there's certain, procedures
We don't
that you
own
have
the
to follow.
money.
So the
Right.
more information that
Earmark
you're
for
able
the
to
arts.
provide, the better and the easier it is for it to happen, so.
Right.
If it's, social media, be able to tell us how much we're talking about and what would it be for, and, when do you need it, and, giving lead time, because everything unfortunately has to have some approval associated with it, and things just don't happen as fast as we'd like sometimes, so. But the more information that you have, so that I don't have to go and follow up and do the research myself, until we have a staff of many, the way that things can happen faster is for you guys to do the research and be able to come back, like I said, with a flyer that specifically says, this is when the event is, this is how much it is, this is what the purpose is, It's not that you have to reinvent the wheel, but you do need to be able to provide whatever the public solicitation was in order for you to find out the information as well,
So,
so.
Winifred, let me ask you then, if our budget has been approved by the city council, they've already approved it, right, the budget for this year,
Last year.
last year.
Yeah.
If we wanna spend $1,000 doing something, whose approval do you think we need?
Well, probably, I'm not exactly sure, I'll just
I mean,
say
I
that
don't-
first of all, but either way, it still has to, I have to give a report to Shas or whoever, someone, to be able to say, this is what, the commission wants to do, and do you approve it? I can't just talk to them and tell them, this is, what we want, it has to be
I don't
supported.
know, just tell them what we've done.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, unfortunately, everything has to have a paper trail associated with it, that's.
I understand.
It's just about accountability, right? So we just have to be accountable for the expenditures of public dollars.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of a newsletter, and Phil, you brought it up many times, the Allegheny County Art Commission does a great job on a monthly basis, or quarterly, or however they do that, but they have staff in order, to do
Yeah.
that, so, I wish that I could clone myself, but I can't, so.
We've got Our Lady to do it.
She's looking for an intern. She's looking for an intern. She has a job too, a day job, right? Yeah, she's got a day job. Okay, well, we've got a lot of stuff. We've given Winifred a lot of stuff this evening for our wish list, and so she can distill what she received from us and report that back out to us next meeting, and whatever follow-up she's been able to do on any of these items that we've given her, so that we can have as many line items in our budget next year with some dollars attached to it as possible. Okay, and just remember that it's work to spend the dollars. It's easy to say they're in there in the budget and we've got a line item and everything, but then to spend them, takes paper, takes people, takes, work, right? So just remember that.
And if you forecast it in budget, you wanna spend it, you don't wanna just have, it's not necessarily good to have overage at the end.
That's
And
right, you do wanna
deny
spend
other
your
people
dollars,
opportunities to
right?
use money, so.
You wanna spend the
You wanna just
dollars,
make sure you have.
yes, yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, very good. All right, so let's move on to item 5, which is RAC projects and public arts staff report updates. We're gonna talk about the Arts District master planning, and we're gonna do an update on our mini grant RFP process, and then the Allen Brothers public art project.
Okay, Phil, there are 15 applications for the Arts District. Go to the bathroom and come back. I don't want you to miss that part.
Go over the number, 15.
Well, that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Actually, not 15 for the master plan, it's 15 for the Allen Brothers, because
Okay.
that's the application that was due this
Wow.
past week.
That's
Okay.
good, right?
Yeah, that's really good. So actually, let me talk about C first. because
Okay.
That's the application that was due on the 5th, which was Monday. So this is the Allen Brothers project is at $250,000 for the mural and $40,000 for the mosaic tile project. So all of you received one of these multiple times, probably too many times. But just so you know, we have modified it, and the flyer that you see over on the table has taken that item off because the deadline is passed. So for the Allen Brothers project, we are looking for, actually not for just that one, for all these projects, we need folks to step up to be part of the art selection panel. So we have a rep for each one of these projects from RAC. We really don't want the same person, to be on all of these. We want to spread out the opportunity. So for Phil, I made a mistake. It's the Allen Brothers project that we have the 15 applications for, not the Arts District. So the Allen Brothers project, what we're specifically looking for, this is for 211 West Cutting. That's the really long building, 250 feet long building. The two specific styles of artwork that we're looking for would be trunk Lloyd, and that's like the 3D artwork. If you look at a flat wall, it looks like you can walk right into it, or if it's a ground, it looks like you can walk down into it. That's a very special skill set of artists to do that style of artwork. That's one of the reasons why we increased the amount of money. So we're not talking about a graffiti, artist who can just kind of do abstract kind of style freehand. This is a skill that we're looking for here, either trunk Lloyd or in what's considered to be photorealism. So that means we're looking for stories, if you will, about Richmond that will come through the artwork. So if you have 250 linear feet, that's a large amount of space that you could tell a story that you can weave together. Sometimes people will use a ribbon, or there's different ways that you can connect the dots, so to speak, for large projects like that. So how many of you have had a chance to drive by this location? A couple of you. If you haven't, I encourage you to drive by the location, especially if you're interested in being on the selection panel. Today, I believe yesterday I sent out a pretty long email to let everybody know exactly what will be involved with each of these projects, so that everybody can have an opportunity to participate in some kind of way. So with Allen Brothers, like I said, 15 applications. It's pretty exciting. We were using what they call bids online, which is a city procurement system that's all electronic, and it allowed us to have, if people had questions, they had to submit their questions, and then the answers are answers that everybody could see both the questions and the answers, whether they have questions and answers or questions themselves. So some folks were assuming that this is arts and, mixing up my projects. Allen Brothers, let me see, if there's anything else I want to add here. The bottom line is that we have the 50 applications Shawnee and I are working on organizing all the documents so that next week, all of the applications will be in folders. So the first pass is that whoever's on the selection panel has to look through all of those applications and score them and make sure that they are on point in terms of what style of artwork they're submitting. Some of the people who are submitting applications, they're not trompe l'oeil or photorealism. So to me, when we look at the points, because it's a score system, they wouldn't necessarily receive the total enough points in order to qualify. It doesn't mean that they're not good artists, but just not for this project.
Well, the requirements were given, right?
Oh, yeah, we thought we spelled it out pretty clearly.
Okay.
What's the budget for that?
Hmm?
What's the budget for this?
It's $250,000 for the mural, and in order to qualify, you have to have done and provide evidence that you've done at least a $75,000 project, so that we don't have to explain why you're not going to get paid until you do certain things, and a whole lot of reasons why we've stated that that's part of the pre-qualification for the project. So that'll be one of the things that we look at ahead of time. If you don't have evidence that either your work, that you have experience with trompe l'oeil or photorealism or a $75,000 project, then that automatically helps us.
Disqualified issue.
Well, it may qualify you for a different project, but not for this.
Not that one.
Because there'll be other projects that all of these 15 candidates might qualify for, so actually it helps us create that pool of candidates, but just not for this particular one.
So can I just say,
Yes.
if you're thinking about volunteering, so I doubt very seriously that we'll actually have to review 15 proposals. Sounds to me like we might.
No, well, we're gonna ask you to look at all 15. We're not gonna narrow them down for you. It's for.
But if
for
they're not
interest.
trompe l'oeil or
Yeah.
photorealism, then
So then there'll be a point system that helps identify whether they qualify or not. So if there's a total of 25 points and they only have 15 points, you guys, whoever's the panel, will help determine how many points they get. It won't be just me and Shawnee evaluating. What we will look at is whether the applications are complete or not. And then you will be, whoever is the panel, will help determine otherwise. So in terms of the panelists, Prologis, who's the owner of the building, will have a representative. The tenant of the building, which is Allen Brothers Seafood, Meat and Seafood. There'll be a RAC member, there'll be a resident from that community, and an artist. So 3 to 5 people on each one of these panels is what we're looking for. Does that help?
it does, but it doesn't. So if the requirements were that they be trompe l'oeil or photorealism, and someone submits an application that's neither one of those art
You
styles,
want us to drop it out? of the list?
yeah, there's no
Yeah.
point in us
Okay.
reviewing it if they didn't meet that qualification.
I understand that. When I
Yeah.
spoke with procurement,
Yes.
because this is a system that they use, and
Yeah.
the way their system works is that the points are what determines whether people are qualified or not. And that would mean that people have to look through all 15. But
I would think if there were various types of art forms that were acceptable, that would apply. But if it's been very clear that it's photorealism or trompe l'oeil, then if you don't have that, to me, you're disqualified.
You don't want to-
Yeah, no, yeah,
I'm good with that. I'm
Okay,
just trying
yeah.
trying to fight,
No, I agree with that.
walk
yeah,
a
yeah.
tight line
Yeah.
here on either side, because, I could definitely easily disqualify people. But I don't want to be the one to make that decision, and for it to be a fair process, and for anyone who might want to challenge how they got disqualified, it shouldn't be in a.
We should be able to go back to what the requirements are.
Yeah, to the RFP, and if it says must be trompe l'oeil or photorealism, then if you submitted something else, then that does not qualify.
Yeah,
I hope next time you follow the direction.
Or if
See you
this, if
next
this
time.
isn't your, yeah,
Well,
yes.
and we're looking, the 15, if people went through the process of applying, then chances are they have done projects that are at least $75,000 or more, and they might qualify for a different project, just
Right.
not this one.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah,
fine
but I
with
think,
that.
so to your point though, I don't think we should just, get rid of their application. It's just not qualified for this particular project, but to keep it in the rotation
Mhm.
for perhaps other projects, if it's complete, like you said, and looks credible.
Does it say that there are actual requirements, or does it say that preference would be given to those who have experience
Oh,
in?
that's a good point.
We're
Yeah.
saying that for this project, what we're looking for would be artists with experience.
Well, that is, you're not saying then that it's a requirement, you're saying you're looking for it.
I'll have to look at the language.
Yeah, look at
So
the
I'd be a little
language.
careful about what you're looking
Good
at.
point.
Right.
Well, that's why it's easier to have a more formal process that allows other people to
Yeah.
be the judge.
Except for that there's a lot more work involved in reviewing 15 applications than 7, for example. So I'm really thinking about commissioner time, doing the reviews,
Okay.
right?
Well, I'm thinking about the fairness to the artists, too.
Well, yeah, it depends, it depends on what the RFP actually said. So that's what we have to go back to.
More carefully,
Okay.
more
Yes.
specific.
Yes,
That's a
right,
good call.
okay, yeah,
Good point.
yeah.
Mhm.
But we're very excited though, and so is Allen Brothers.
Mhm.
And basically, they're on the East Coast, so the first pass is gonna be electronic, as we've done before, so they don't have to be here for that. We'll narrow it down to the top 3 mural candidates and the top 3 mosaic tile. Mosaic tile is for the tabletops. And the top 3, what we call semifinalists, those will be the only ones who are actually paid a fee to further develop those proposals. And they'll come back to us in 30 days with a maquette, which is a little model, or, a more defined drawing compared to whatever they've submitted without being paid for the first pass, which is typical. So anyway, whoever is selected as panelists, they need to be available and interested in looking at 7 to 10 applications, which can take a minute to do. We're gonna give people a week to look through those applications and score them, come back, and then we'll meet with them as a small group to go over the results and make sure that we all agree on who the top candidates are. And those top 3 of each of those categories will be informed that they will be paid the fee to come back in 30 days with a tight presentation. And then that presentation will be in person. And sometimes it might take 2 back-to-back nights. So 15 to 20 minutes for each interview. Usually, and for this group, it seems like most people work, so it's not gonna be a daytime interview, it's gonna be an evening interview. So as many people as possible can be available. They'll come back in 30 days with, like I said, the interview, we'll score them. And then the numbers really are what will tell, who the winners are. And then after that, because of the amount of the award, these will be, need to go through city council for approval before any contracts could be established. So the scope of services has to be agreed upon, and a couple other things that we have to do the due diligence part in order to, before we take it to the city council. So just give you, are there any questions about that one? Really exciting opportunities, but because it's a bids online process, hold on one sec. This was considered to be it was not a local call. So we have applicants from all across the country,
Oh, wow.
and we also have some applicants from Canada and from
Wow.
Spain and from
Oh,
my
wow.
because we put, $250,000 as you don't find a whole lot of $250,000 mural type projects. But
Right.
you also don't have a lot of projects that are so specific to have the trunk Lloyd style or the photorealism style to match what it is that we're looking for. So some folks who are not from the Bay Area have to understand that we're not adding any extra money for transportation or lodging, and for a mural this size, it's gonna take a while for them to actually do the painting. So if they don't live here or in the Bay Area, and they have to pay for
Lodging
transportation and
food,
lodging,
yeah, meals and all that.
that might be a challenge.
Cost prohibitive.
But we didn't specify that they had to be from the Bay Area, so, we'll see what we get. Tony?
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wanted to share with everyone, and I shared this email with you on the 5th. Edwin
Marmanello, yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah, so we had two candidates, who were in the middle of, doing their application at 3 o'clock, which was the deadline. And the way this bids online system works, if your application isn't in, they cut you off. So there were two people whose applications were cut off at 3, but after speaking with Ophelia, who's in the procurement division, we agreed that we'll accept only those two applications that came in, like, right at the deadline. But we also have to point out to people, don't wait till the last minute to complete your application, especially if you've never used this particular system before. They didn't realize that they would be cut off, and neither did I, to be honest with you. But we've accepted those two. So thank you for pointing that out. Yes, people definitely will go around us and talk to the mayor's office and make sure. They want-
Rack was CC'd in the email. Full disclosure, I forwarded it, I didn't even reply to the guy, I just
Well,
forwarded it.
they've done a whole lot of work, to prepare for these applications.
Yeah.
And it shows. If you're gonna get a $250,000 mural project, you need to do a whole lot of work. And so, anyway, we're moving along.
So if anybody wants to be on that panel, send me an email and, copy Winifred. So currently I was gonna be on the review committee, but I'd be willing to have a second commissioner. I think it'd be good experience if you wanna be a part of that review process. So just let me know, maybe we can have 2 commissioners on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
You may have 2 commissioners, but 1 vote, it has to be
Okay, that'd be fine,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
Same with the Prologis, the developer, they may have 2 people who wanna be around the table, but they only have 1 vote. Cause it has to be an odd number and a
Okay.
variety of other things.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay, is that okay if I move on?
Mm-hmm. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, the next one would be the Arts District Master Planning Consultant. And the deadline for that is the 18th, I believe. And then the IPA mini grant, the deadline is the 19th. So we have almost 2 weeks before the next 2 deadlines. And for the Arts District, right now, we have, there's at least 10 or more people who have opened up the application. That's the bids online system. So we're able to see who is considering the project, but we won't know until the applications the deadline closes, who's actually applied. And once again, that's a project for which we're looking for experienced people. To me, and it states in the RFP that we need you to show or demonstrate that you've actually done this for some other city. That's really what we're looking for. It's not just people who say that they can do it, but showing that you have done it before someplace.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to go into details. Everybody who received LinkedIn, which is all you press the link so you can see the whole application yourself and see everything that we're asking everybody for.
Yeah.
So that part, we also need actually I think Virginia, you've already volunteered for
Yes.
that one. The Arts District, we're defining exactly who would be on the selection panel and have determined that a city council member should not be a panelist also.
Good.
Even though it's a city council motivated or driven initiative, we don't think that would
Makes
be a
sense.
good idea.
Who's on the selection committee?
We're trying to define it, but right now,
Just Virginia.
And how many do you need?
I'm sorry,
I said just Virginia so far?
so far, well, not just Virginia, but we're 3 to 5 people
Yeah, the question is, who is selecting those 3 to 5 people?
I'm working with staff because this is a city council driven project. It's not an arts commission project, so the economic development division and city manager's office, folks within staff
Well, it's
are making recommendations.
it'd also be a Brown Act
If,
committee, so you're gonna let us know who's on the committee?
we don't have everybody on the committee yet, but within the next week, that's why we're
The
asking,
question is, who is selecting the committee
staff,
by name?
Shas and Annette and myself.
The 3 of you?
Well, so far.
Okay, that wasn't hard, was it?
No, because we've never done this before. So, we're trying to make sure that it is a transparent and fair process, yes?
If you think I would be a good inclusion, I would like to be with Virginia and you and learning more about this process
Okay.
on the art district master planning.
Yeah, and I think, so the arts district, art consultant would be, once that person is on board, then we'll be able to take the recommendation that you've made for a trip to a city that provides us with good examples, but it has to be driven by whoever's selected, not by me or our staff. So that's why I had to step back just for a minute to make sure that it ends up being a fair process. So the funds for this are the ARPA dollars, which is the American Rescue Recovery Act.
Oh, recovery,
Money.
okay.
The city council has made $250,000 available for the planning process. So of the $250,000, we're using $50,000 for the preliminary planning. Another $50,000 will go for staff support because we're going to have to also do certain things in order to help that person. And this is over a course of a year. And then part of the idea is that if there are, let's say, 2 to 3 neighborhoods that are being considered for where this arts district would actually take place, then we want to make money available for that neighborhood council to help with whoever's selected to help develop whatever this plan is going to look like. So, and the ARPA dollars all have to be spent within a year. We think that that's fair. One of the things that we're looking for this candidate to have is some grant experience, because in an ideal world, we really need about $10 million to have available to create a sustainable art district over a number of years. We don't want to start a great idea and then not have money to, really
Fill it
develop
out.
it. Any more questions about that?
No?
Okay,
Thank you.
so Our Lady in Virginia, and for Allen Brothers, we said,
Me and whoever else wants
Lindsay, did
to.
anybody else
Not yet.
speak up about Allen
Ted.
Brothers?
You wanna do that one?
Ted.
Okay, Ted.
And then for the MPA mini grants,
That's
Um,
everybody.
we also will need, 1 or 2, well, actually,
It's
MPA mini grant is
commissioners.
it's just commissioners,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be anyone outside
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
commission.
Yeah.
And at least 3 people,
Ted.
since you did it before, you're familiar, that's good. If there are
Have you had any more contracts signed, MPA contracts signed?
Several of them have been signed, and many, hold on, let me just finish asking the question. Is there anyone else who wants to be considered as a panelist for the MPA mini grants? Because we'll need at least 3 people. So if you don't have an answer tonight, you can let me know, but chances are these are also gonna be all these are gonna be evening meetings to make sure to accommodate your schedules. But for the MPA mini grant, the term, would actually be January to June of 2025. So we're hoping we're starting way far in advance, in order to not worry about having to rush or, we're also gonna make sure that people know we don't really want them to start spending any money until they actually have what's considered as a fully executed contract. This past year, for the current cycle, some folks received an award letter, and they got started right away. And that's not good practice. So
What's entailed for the mini grant?
the MPA mini grant, it's basically we're looking at the applications, same thing as the
Okay,
other
so it's just,
electronic.
Yeah, it's just
Got it.
a, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
just the
just,
same, okay.
yeah, and a scoring, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
look at the score,
yeah,
yeah, so, and really, the MPA mini grant is sort of our signature project, you know, so please, you know,
If you
agree
haven't
to
done it
do that
before,
one, yeah. It's a good one to do, especially since we become liaisons and, you know, it's good to, know, you know, who our main, they're our main audience, these MPA mini grant folks are our main community, of artists.
And it's an annual.
And it's
award,
annual,
right.
yeah.
$65,000 is available from the general fund.
Yeah,
And what we have done here is created a small, a medium, and a large project, all at pretty much the same time, compared to what we've done in the past where people were complaining, well, you know, that's not enough money. Well, we're gonna give you a larger opportunity then, but you have to qualify for it. So for the folks who are doing the $250,000 project, they're not interested in a $9,000 mini grant. But the $9,000 mini grant is a lot of money if you've never done them. Anything above $1,000 or, you know, whatever it might be. So we think that it's a fair process. Phil?
Well, we're planning on supplementing that 65 if it's gonna be a public art
Yeah,
project.
we will still be doing that.
Okay.
Yep, so like we did have a orientation meeting last week. 16 people attended. It was online. And I'll just give you an example. Stephen Sharp, who is our poet laureate, is going to be applying to help manage the Richmond Rights book. And we thought that will make a lot of sense because we can't manage it like Michelle had managed it in the past. So to have a mini grant to support that type project will make it a reality compared to just talking about it.
And BK did most of the work on that,
Okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe she'll apply.
and Michelle helped, yeah.
We'll see, because we know that from what we see, BK is going to be applying for one of the other projects. So, okay. So yeah, let us know. Besides Ted, actually Kaylin most likely would also be on the NPA mini grant. She did that last year, and then maybe you, maybe not, but next month we'll have updates on who's going to be on each one. So it's really exciting to see that we're actually going to be able to spend the money that we have in this account, and it's going to go to good use, and it's going to be like a broad brush, a spectrum of different types of projects, and I don't think we've ever had this kind of opportunity before, all at one time. And as far as that $250,000 mural project, I don't think the city's ever done a project that large before, and chances are going into the future, we will never see that type of money available. So that's one reason why I felt that it would be important to specify a unique skill set for those funds. We'll never see to do Trump-Law, you have to be able to step back in order to really see it all at the same time. And this is the Cutting Boulevard. You can walk all the way across the street in order to see this mural, and we don't have any other locations in the city that have the same kind of conditions.
I hope it doesn't cause any traffic accidents.
Well, people will be able to pull aside and actually look at it. So yeah.
yeah, okay.
So just one of our handouts, over on the table was the MPA mini grant contracting process. So I wanna make sure everybody gets a copy and then, reads through this. So this was the work that Kaylin did when she, at the last meeting, she said she was gonna meet with Shawnee. And so this is what, they came up with, and then I made a contribution also. And so this is actually what the process is gonna look like. And so we're gonna not only have the original group of commissioners doing the initial review of the proposals, review and scoring of the proposals, but then we're gonna have a second small, what we're gonna call the final review committee. And this committee will be the commissioners who will actually connect up with the grantees when there are questions about their applications. So instead of her suggestion was that all the commissioners get assigned to the applicants, but that really doesn't work in our context here and how we do this process. So we'll have a small committee of commissioners that will actually be connecting with the grantee applicants when there is a need. So it's really kind of on a need basis. And Shawnee and staff will let us know if they need us to step in and do that liaising with the applicant. So just read this and
And that would
familiarize yourself with the
We really
process.
appreciate what
Mhm.
Galen and the team have done, because
Yeah.
we think that as this is followed, it will help speed up the process.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Because part of the challenge that we've had this year is that folks had incomplete applications when it came, after we said that they received the award, we had to wait for them to do certain things, go back and forth. It's taken way longer than what we expected, so we think that this will help streamline a lot, so we're excited.
Number 5, 6, and 7 say proposed.
Yes.
Has that been finalized?
Yeah, I think it's been accepted basically, so yes, this is gonna be our process. I think it proposes just so that you know that it's new, but also number 3 is new, that's a new step. So we'll have that small committee, and that committee will work with there's just too much liability involved in having all the commissioners liaising with grantee applicants before there's an actual contract in place. So we're trying to create that link so that we can support the applicants, but keep it clean for the city so that we can make sure that we're not goofing up anything in the process for them.
It's nothing worse than making promises that you really are not in a position or have the authority to make, and sometimes that could happen if you're sharing information with someone who doesn't have a contract yet. So,
Yeah, we just want to be really careful.
yep.
So this is new, so we're gonna be testing out this new process. So I'm expecting that it's, might have a few little bumps in it, but, for the most part, hopefully we'll be able to follow this process and then we won't have so many complaints from the applicants about our process, okay?
And also, if I could add that this, as I mentioned, is the budget time, not just for commissions, but for the whole city. So there is a line item to add a new staff person to support all the work that we do. So we're really excited about that. It's not that just talking about it, there will actually be some funds in place to hire somebody. And we need an ideal world for that person to have some public art experience, along with a lot of technical experience. So what we've determined is that in order to kind of speed up the process, what we're especially looking for is somebody who's going to have administrative technical support abilities. So that way we don't have to create a whole brand new category for this position, and it can be someone who's already working in the city and doing technical assistance. They know how to do contracts, they know how to do website stuff, they know all the internal, they're already authorized to do all the internal kinds of things that you have to be an employee in order to do. And if you're already an employee, then you already know how to do certain things, you already know how the city operates. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Okay. All right, moving on. So I just want to do a time check. We're at 8:26 here, and we're at item 6. They're marked as discussion items, but we're actually going to hear updates, reports on these 2 items. Ad hoc committee for the Kennedy Park Large Art Commission, and that's Virginia and Winifred. You want to
I think we should do B first.
do B? Okay.
Because
Carol and Ted, you
and
wanna-
Phil have been
Okay.
working on that that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
deferring to Ted.
Okay.
Yeah, we were working on memorial art, policy, monuments and memorials, next steps. Initially, what we were trying to do, we're trying not to reinvent the wheel. There's like a lot of information. We're trying to make it simple and clear. So that's the goal. So we reviewed different policies from cities outside of Richmond, as well as Richmond. Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, to name a few, also Berkeley and Oakland. And we also looked at some of the documented write-up that Barbara Goldstein provided. And so we're gonna try to, the goal for us is to take that information from what we've looked at and create a 2 to 3 page draft that we'll present, hopefully in our next meeting.
Okay.
We're gonna meet later this month and go over the things I've just talked about and trying to come up with a nice draft that we can review and forward on to you.
Great.
To review.
So we're gonna kind of pull in some of the work that's applicable, that we could apply to Richmond that's already there. And then we'll work to formulate something that is more specific
Unique.
to Richmond. But just really, because there's some good, like Ted said, there's good templates out there from Portland, from Glendale, and from, and so my understanding, I know this is the first time we're all really doing something like this. I'm guessing we're gonna put together this draft, and then that will have to go, because it's really gonna have to go through some constituencies, right? For review to make sure that, I don't know how that works.
We're in constituents.
So we are, because I guess when I was talking to folks from, for instance, San Francisco, they had put together a draft, but then there were other gates that kind of had to go through for people's review and feedback to make sure that it was really encompassing all of the different stakeholders within the city as far as, what their feedback or thoughts would be. And that was something that was interesting to me, because, I was thinking, like what Winifred said, that it would just be us, but I was wondering, does the city council or do other areas need to be informed or at least have some feedback so that they can say they were included or part of the process? And I think that's where the process comes in.
Well, I think that's part of the draft information that you identify as what part of the procedures are going to be. If you want to include city council or other stakeholders, spell it out, so it's really
Okay.
clear about what it, how you want to see this working.
Just so we don't get blowback where people say, oh, well, I didn't see it and I didn't have any input, and then you have a challenge, right?
Well, and another thing you might want to make sure to include is something that addresses that private, unsolicited requests for public property projects, so that we can avoid some of the challenges that we've had recently.
That was like some of the commonalities we saw within the policies.
They do have some reference to that.
Some references to that,
Okay.
references to,
Okay.
just off the top, evidence of community support, scope, consultants, location of art, and the maintenance and ongoing care. In the approval process that Carol was mentioning, it went through, in the policies that we reviewed, it went through like several different departments or groups, not just one or two. And I guess the higher the dollar amount, the closer we get to the mayor, right? So that was pretty interesting. But there's also like a focus on donor and gift review process, as well as an appeals process, because not everyone may not appreciate the art that's being created.
Well, and I think, Phil, we had a discussion about, tell me if I'm off on this. I mean, what you brought up earlier about Betty, and also making sure or creating some policy around art. And I'll just use, communities and people that have been impacted negatively by police violence. So how do we, use the opportunity to bring attention to what happened, not only to one person, but to more people? Because I think we have to be mindful that if we're going to create a monument, even if it's somebody personally, due to police violence, I'll just use that for the case, the situation we're talking about now. There's gonna be a lot of other communities who could be incensed by that, because they're like, well, what about us? So I think we just really have to take into consideration how we're doing it. Not to exclude, but be more inclusive as far, and maybe there's names we include in there, so it can become more personal. So,
Yeah, that was
Does
the
that-
goal.
Yeah, there's a lot of categories where you couldn't really honor a person until they passed on for 2 years. That was kind of the minimum criteria, and 5 years on another city. And the selection site, you'd have to kind of coordinate with Parks and Recreation or with Public Works, or whoever's in charge of those. If we wanted to if we designated a space and the neighborhood council wanted to put a pickleball field there instead, how do that'll have to be dealt with. So you kind of broaden the scope of who's involved beyond the art commission. They can make some of those decisions and help out with locating. And then an individual person, or is that individual person represent, as Carol was saying, you have someone who's killed by the police, do a memorial for all of those that have been killed by police instead of that one person, that kind of thing.
So it probably depends on what the source of the funds is. So for like Petey Perez, it was private funds.
right.
So, but if you spend public funds on a memorial, then that's a whole different consideration, right? That covers everybody. I would, have you had a chance to get out and go look at Miller Knox and go look at Shield Reed's in terms of the existing memorials, to see what's been done already in Richmond? Because there's already some things that have been done in Richmond, and so those are the only two that I know about that are.
It'd be interesting to know how those came about. What
Yes.
was the process and policy around how those were?
In different ways,
Yeah.
in different ways. So the Miller Knox was, I think, a multi-jurisdictional collaborative effort, because the park is not a city park. But the one, the exhibit or the memorial at Shield Reed's was done by the community.
What is that one?
So that one is a series of bricks that people carved.
Oh.
It's really beautiful. You should go out and look. They have it in a wall and it's behind glass. It's on shelves.
Oh, wow.
And for each person, they carve. Some of them are beautiful carvings. They're amazing.
There's also that one in downtown Richmond, right on McDonald.
Yeah.
That one that, I think I sent that around to everybody.
Yeah.
You sent it to already.
Yeah, it's a real small one, but
Yeah,
5 feet tall or something.
yeah.
So maybe part of your package, if you will, be photographs of examples of the ones that are existing. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, to let us know, yeah.
Some photographs
Yeah.
myself, but
Okay.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, I think that would be
I
helpful.
want to add one other question or
Sure.
comment, suggestion. From a review process, would there potentially be a template or an application of some sort, so that people, if they want to have a private, unsolicited project, that we can have procedure that's in place in the form of an application, so that we don't have to go back and forth and leave it up to them in order to decide how they're gonna present it, if that makes sense. Also, to have a follow-up, like, I have heard, not directly from a terms of the visual content, and
What have you heard?
I'm just saying it doesn't look like what we approved, so we need to be able to see what they're doing. Not, or maybe not, you know,
Well, I
because
thought
it's
they
not our money.
submitted, I thought they submitted what they
Well,
wanted.
they did, except
And then
for,
there should be a change control
well,
process.
this is what I'm saying.
If you're changing what you submitted,
Well, what was
the
approved.
city should, I mean, or else it's not allowed. I mean, you shouldn't be able to just
That's
be,
why I'm bringing this up.
otherwise, why are you even
That's the
come to
reason
us?
why
and
we
Why
do
you
bring it
it?
up.
request, right,
Yeah.
approval for
Yeah.
changing, yeah.
Well, that was what was in some of the policies that we looked at.
Yeah,
And right, also that Barbara Goldstein had mentioned, and that was the maintenance and the ongoing
correct.
care.
Nice.
Well, that's two different things.
Yeah.
The maintenance and ongoing care is different
And
than
this is
the.
a change in
Right.
Design, the
Right.
concept design.
Right.
Yeah, we approved one thing, so we don't wanna be surprised and see something that is not what we approved. But it's not our money either, so. if
Yeah,
it's-
but you don't just get to use your private money to build whatever you want.
I'm just saying, you need to put it in writing,
Yeah.
so.
Well, especially because it's on private property, on
Right.
public
Public
property, and it's using a public trash bin, right? So it's
how
not
does this
just,
get reined in right now? Without the
Say that
problem?
again,
How does this get reined in right now if there's no process or procedure in
for you
place?
to put the right, put it in
We have to
writing,
put
so
it
that
in
we can go
place.
back and be able to.
Oh,
Check in.
so does this need to be done? To me, there's gonna have to be some approval of what we're doing, so I guess we're gonna expedite this.
But
Sounds
I
like.
think this case is something else because it was already approved, right, so.
Sorry?
This case was already approved, right, by the city?
We're the only ones who
No.
were asked to approve it.
the concept
Unless-
design.
Did it go to the city council?
No,
Went to, Parks and Rec.
They saw.
Because we cannot, we
Yeah.
cannot,
Did you go there?
I went to Rex and Park,
Oh,
reach
commission.
recess, you know what I mean, like,
What they do?
the file will be
I have
done
no idea.
by.
So we had some conversations,
We
excuse me,
cannot
lady.
use something last year, so,
Yeah, wanna make sure we can hear both
sorry, yeah,
conversations.
sorry.
That's all, it just
Sorry.
went to Rex and Parks, Commission for a signature from, the chair there. I don't recall the details of the meeting, but I assume it was the same presentation they gave here.
So it's the same thing, they don't know any more than we know,
Right.
and we need to be informed of
Know something.
if, you know, changes take place, that's all. But in order to have that happen, and we're talking about creating a policy here, there just needs to be a line in there that says if you change the concept, and make it so that it's different from whatever was approved, then let us know, you know?
Well, it should be a requirement.
I'm just saying, put it in writing, Phil.
policies and procedures.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down, so we don't wanna have any surprises in the end.
But we're not gonna be able to use this retroactively with what we've already done.
No, not completely.
How do we know the community services should be handling this project, or Parks and Rec, rather than the Art Commission? How do we know that?
We don't, it depends on who they bring it to, because right now, from a memorial perspective, if there's a bench in a park, and somebody wants to put a little sign that says, this is in memory of blah, 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 then that's a parks, approval process. That has nothing to do with
Just
the art
signage.
commission. If it's signage only, but if it has some art element to it, that's when we, would be involved. So you need to specify something like that for memorial projects. If there's an art element, then we would be the body to present it to. If there's no art element and it's signage only, it's Parks and, Rec, you know. Define it.
So originally, when we first began to talk about this idea, it was with the notion that we would actually create a memorial, that we would take money in a budget, have a budget. We actually had a budget line item, right, for a memorial project, so that
No, it was, I don't
I
recall.
thought
but
we had a.
I-
So the notion, so people from outside can bring the idea in, the proposal in, but do we also want to do anything from the commission out?
Well, that's a collective question, and if in fact you want to have some of our budget go towards that type of project, then they need to be able to state that in the policies and procedures and say, how much money are you recommending, you know, we go towards it. But
Okay,
everything has to unfortunately be defined.
okay.
Most, I don't know about most, but a number of the proposals that we read from different cities, city funds were not involved in it. It was all donations and money coming in from the outside. I don't remember reading once where the city of Berkeley paid for it or whatever. So,
You just have to spell it out, that's all.
Yeah, I feel once this doc is ready, we can clearly understand if it is a need to bring money or request money or creating a proposal, right? I think first let's have this doc ready, and second, we have more directions from there. Because right now we don't have nothing, so.
We don't, but then if we don't put anything in the budget for next year, then we don't have anything in the budget for next year.
And then.
If we wanna move a memorial project forward, for example, the sculpture garden, you know, if we took that idea and turned that into some kind of memorial project, but that's
Well,
fine.
that's a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
are you saying like $50,000 might be the number for the rose garden? Or, you know, I don't know how much money you're even talking about.
Yeah,
So-
that's why I need to go back and,
Yeah, okay.
the next meeting. Is
Well,
it
the next
gonna be
meeting
too
will-
late? Oh, so I would have
We
to
need-
send
we
that
need-
to you.
In order for it
Within
to be
2
part of
weeks.
next year's fiscal budget, yes,
Mhm.
this is the time.
Oh, okay,
Next month, they will have closed the window.
okay.
I'd like to see 100,000 be in there just for us to start our memorial project.
But, yeah, it's just because,
Cause we can add every year, you know, sort of depends on what the design is, what we decide, but it would be nice just to have some money in a pot just in case
And
we actually wanna do something.
to circle back around to Phil's public comments, I mean, Betty Soskin deserves a memorial project of some sort before she dies.
Oh,
I think that this will be an example of.
A living.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I don't know what you think about that, but,
life-size bronze.
no, and that's more than $100,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know, this is the time.
But she's not very big, so
She's in the neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, but she's larger than life.
that's,
If you have not been to the Rosie the Riveter Museum, has everybody been there? Okay, everybody's been there. If you haven't been there, you should go and watch their little 16-minute video. It's really, really powerful. I was very touched by the history that they portrayed about how the people of Richmond, the women particularly, came to be working in the industries, in the shipping and the airplanes. They also worked on airplanes too. So they built ships. But at the height of the war, they were launching a ship a day
wow.
out of Richmond.
Women.
Yeah, the women were building these ships. So
And-
very powerful.
I did add to their gift shop that they need to have, more diversity in some of the things that they're selling. And not just black and white, there are a lot of
Right.
Asian women.
Yes, there were.
Japanese women
Yes.
that work in
Yes.
those, factories.
That's
so-
right.
And Latino.
That's right. That's right.
oh, Virginia. The, what is it called, the Richmond Garden Club is a real active group of women, mostly women, that might be supportive of that Rose Garden.
Never heard of them. Richmond Garden Club?
I don't know if that's the exact name, but
Mhm.
Tom Butt put it in one of his, emails.
Okay. All right.
One more.
Yep, Kennedy.
One more point as
Oh,
far as
yes.
Betty's concerned.
Yes. Okay, can I bring the meeting back to order?
Sorry.
That's okay.
So, I sent, an email, and I think, Our Lady posted it regarding the play about Betty Soskin that is, in San Francisco now, and,
I wonder that.
yeah.
It was sold out in Richmond.
And the Richmond Museum has, picked it up, so Betty is able to enjoy it while she's alive, which is really good. Okay.
On that note too, just really quick,
Mhm.
and I'm glad you brought this up, Phil. I mean, we're talking about Betty Sosky, and fortunately she's here. Another person that's probably significant to the city of Richmond is Irma Anderson.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, she just
Uh,
passed.
The former mayor who just passed.
Right.
Not saying we should do anything, but it could come on our plate.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
could be done
yeah.
in our family.
yeah.
And, Tony, what's the latest with the Memorial Auditorium celebration?
It was approved by city council that the auditorium be used to create some sort of memorial, but that'll be city manager's office who will wait for details from. There'll be a smaller gathering on the 16th at Easter Hill. But that's a smaller gathering, yeah. For mayor.
Oh, we're talking about her, here's a picture of her with our now vice president.
Oh, wow.
This was, I think, at the convention, Democratic convention, probably about, right before, right when Barack Obama was getting elected, she was attorney general. And Irma was there, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Okay, so on to the Kennedy Park update.
Yeah, Virginia, what would you like to, you want to share what you know, and then I'll pick up where you leave off?
Okay, well, I'll share that I accompanied Winifred to a meeting with Bendrick Foster, who has a nonprofit organization called New Life Movement. And what they do is he contracts with, he's contracted with a few schools in Richmond for violence prevention and educational programs. And the school that he's at right now is Kennedy. And then we've got Kennedy Park in the middle, and then he's also working at King Elementary School with the kids. And so he's very active with the kids going to the park, and he was instrumental in stopping a lot of the violence and drug use in the park. So he's very well known and gives a lot of events there that are very beneficial to the community. And so his logo is the phoenix, which symbolizes rebirth. And so Winifred had mentioned to him that that might be a good sculpture for the park. So we walked around and looked at different areas that the sculpture could possibly go. And I think Winifred also has an artist in mind.
Well, those of you who are familiar with Osprey Bird project that we did a few years ago, was done by the Scientific Arts Studio, and Ron Olofsson is the artist. It's a team, it's not just Ron.
Oh.
But we're going to do a tour of their studio, just so that the community can see what the skill set is that this particular artist has. And what we're talking about is a sole source vendor opportunity, as opposed to putting it as a call to anybody who thinks that they can do the sculpture, so that we can move the project along. It's been a year since we started it, and we don't want to take a whole other year in order to do an open call and all of that. So it will still be a $100,000 project, still keep the same budget, and is that enough information? Next month we'll come back with an update, because we really just kind of started to renew the process again. But the idea is that the artist would come up with a sketch that we would see, and we would pay a small fee for him to create a maquette, the same process that we use for the Osprey Bird project. And by this time next year, we'll actually have a sculpture in place. That's the idea.
Is this a project that's going through the art commission?
This one is. This is taking the place of the art contract that we had to rescind by,
The musical bench.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. Okay. All right, other questions or comments about this particular initiative? All right, then let's move on. Tony, do you have any additional information you want to share with us from the mayor's office?
Sure. Yeah, there's a few items that happened in the month of January and also this last week. Winifred alluded to one of them. The Richmond City Council recently adopted a resolution amending staffing position control to have a position in the arts division, which is an administrative assistant. That was adopted and the funds were appropriated 2 nights ago.
Very good, nice,
What's the
thank
level of
you.
that position?
The level of that position, I can get back to you, but it's we're looking here at a administrative assistant. It's through it's gonna be a 1021 general employee. On January 23rd, the city council also approved contract amendments with NIAD, Richmond Arts Center, and East Bay Center for Performing Arts in the amount of $45,000 per organization.
What was it previous?
What was it previous?
Yeah,
135,000 total, I believe. Let's see here.
so that's about the same.
Well, it's 55,000 each, so
Right.
we're adding
Okay.
45 to make it 100,000 for
Yes.
Oh, okay, so that's in addition to what
Yes,
they've
it's
been,
an
oh,
amendment.
okay, it's,
So
okay,
it's
it's
the
an
same.
increase in their budgets.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a decrease in their budgets,
So those are
okay.
the two arts-related things that happened recently. Countywide, the Board of Supervisors just passed an ordinance making Art CCC the official arts council for Contra Costa County. It's a public-private partnership. So as you know, 2 years ago, the County Arts Commission was dissolved. And so the county contracted, I think, with Arts Orange County to find a new draft scope of services for this new private public partnership. And yeah, that all came to an end. And so if you go to artccc.com, you can see the plan there. It's a strong organization. And it's headed by a former Richmond Arts and Culture Commissioner, Jenny Blau.
Mhm.
And some of the advisors are also former Richmond Arts and Culture Commissioners. So optimistic, but it will be representing the whole county, so look forward to that. And they'll be hiring for additional staff. They got money from Measure X funds. They'll be getting funds from other places as well, so.
That's very cool.
235,000 or something?
That's correct. So, yeah, there'll be that, and part of the 5-year plan is also looking for added funding. I know from the California Arts Council, and there's a lot to it, like they have a 5-year plan already ready to go, where they outline sort of main priorities and what direct services they're looking to provide, like Poetry Out Loud, the poetry series, and a few other things.
Are these jobs all city of Richmond?
No, this will be
Countywide.
this will be through
It's all
RCCs.
county,
Yeah,
so-
it's gonna be on a county level.
Contra Costa County.
Contra Costa County, yes, it's the new arts agency for the county.
Oh, that's great.
And what, do you have any sense about what the relationship is between the county and the different cities, in terms of the arts?
So previously, every sort of district or area in the county had a commissioner represent them with AC5. But since it's been dissolved, there's been nothing there, but Art CCC will be tasked to sort of making connections and bridging some of those gaps, and finding organizations that already exist in the county and sort of bringing them all together, so that the county knows about what's going on in the different arts initiatives and stuff.
And Jenny, the head of that, is a brilliant artist and a brilliant administrator.
Yes.
So she's really dynamic. Will really make this thing work.
So you think that she might attend one of our meetings occasionally in order to give us an update or anything like that, or?
I'm sure she'd be open to it.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea,
Yeah.
to keep us informed.
Finally, we've been in contact with Richmond Arts Center for our second West Country Cross Unified School District student art show at the mayor's office. A week prior to that, we've partnered with another school where we'll have kids come over and show us the art. And that'll be for like we'll have a closing reception for that. It's just gonna be a week long, just to sort of build a bridge there with schools. And so I'll send you all an invite, and we'll be meeting with them tomorrow.
Okay,
Nice.
very cool.
There's one more thing I'm listening for. The exhibit.
Oh, which one?
Council chambers.
Oh, the council chambers, oh, it's, that went live, have you all seen it yet? That went live, January is a blur. First council meeting in January, there's a council chambers has art now. The railings and stuff was installed by Public Works, and you can see works from Richmond artists there. The theme is Elevate Richmond. So check it out when you can.
Okay. We got lots going on right here in our complex, between the auditorium and RAC and over here. Lots of art. That's really fabulous. Very good. All right, any other announcements from the commissioners here that you want to share with the group?
I'd like to share that our exhibit at the Richmond Art Center was very successful. We had about 800 attendees at that exhibit. And this coming Saturday is going to be our guest speakers, Richard Mayhew and Farad.
He's 100 years old, Fuad.
Fuad,
Satterfield.
Yeah, will be there also, and the moderator is Flo Wiley, and that's at 12 o'clock this coming Saturday. And there are catalogs for you guys who did not make the exhibit,
Take one,
so
two.
grab one, and you'll be able to see where all the satellite and open studio shows are throughout the Bay Area.
I want to mention something.
Okay.
I really feel good about. It took me a while to talk to one of my clients, private art consulting stuff. I finally got her to go through the art of African diaspora show.
Oh.
She went through when there's nobody around, and she bought 15 pieces off the wall.
Oh, is that really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw the red dots.
Yes,
Oh, man,
yes,
that's
I
great.
know, I walked in there and saw those,
Nice.
yeah, we heard about that.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
Nice.
I was
As a
really
matter of
proud
fact, I took a picture of everybody who sold something.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you,
great.
Phil.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's what it takes, you know, you gotta bring people to the show. Anybody else not seen the show yet? Because if you haven't, go by Wednesday through Saturday is when it's open from 11 to 4,
From 10 to 4.
10 to 4.
Mhm.
So you can
There's
walk in.
There's actually 3 shows going on.
Yes,
That's the
Right.
main one.
yes, yes.
Then there's one in the back for remembrance
Well, and then the other one with Tony,
with Tony.
and the drone, very cool drone images. It's all Point Melody, I think, is celebrating.
Yeah, Point Melody Art shows up
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
one of the 4 artists.
Very nice.
Shows really nice.
I just want to share this if I could.
Go ahead,
Last
go
thing,
ahead.
and then we need to, I know we need to
Wrap
adjourn.
up.
So, as you know, Shields Reed Park has 5 art commissions. And of the 5 art commissions, 2 of them have a community engagement component that includes the after-school program. So the artists, one of the last times I brought the board to let you guys see what, I didn't bring it this time, but this is an example of the results of what the kids are doing. And this is a mosaic tile that will be part of the border of the actual artwork. There are 4 panels, and each of the panels have this border all the way around 4 corners. So the kids first colored. The first session, like the artist is there he was there every Wednesday in January. And the first effort was for the kids to actually color. To color the panel. And each one of the panels have a colored number code. So basically all they were doing was preparing it by coloring, and then the next week they added the actual tiles, and then the next week they actually did the grouting. So it was a pretty cool exercise for each time, and Virginia did have a chance to come by. I believe I invited everybody, but the time is prohibitive for a lot of folks because it's after school. But the kids were really excited. So right now, during all of February, the muralist is working with the kids for an hour on every Tuesday. So if you had time from 3:30 to 4:30 and you want to come by to see what they're doing, that would be great. This group was a little older because the glass tile, the kids had to be 10 and over. For the mural work, they can be 10 and under. So they're smaller kids and they're coloring. Next time I'll have more information because yesterday was just the first time.
What's the location?
Shields Reed location.
Shields Reed.
It's North Richmond.
Yeah.
I'll put another email in for everybody if you want to go by.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool process, and it's a community engagement, and the mural part, the families will actually be able to help paint the murals, and the artist is realizing that the paint by numbers kind of concept is probably the best way to go for as much involvement as possible. So we are busy doing some really exciting projects. Thank you, everybody. Anybody know anything about Sergeant Johnson? Anybody heard of him? I know some of you know more than others. We're in the Memorial Auditorium. You'll see this large enamel mural work of his that was done in the 1950s. It was restored. It used to be hanging in the city council chambers, and back in the day when folks could smoke cigarettes in meetings, that's what they did, and it ended up receiving a whole lot of tar and nicotine that was all over it. So we had the work restored over 10 years ago, and now it's hanging in the Memorial Auditorium. And the folks who created this book asked if they could come and take a photograph of his piece to include in the book. So really nice to be included. So this is the only book that I have, so if you wanted to look at it, you could, but you can't take it with you.
If anybody wants to know more about Sarge, his great-grandmother in Berkeley bought their family home from Sarge Johnson in 1938? 1945.
And was there a piece in the yard or something?
But it's still big.
The little angel,
Yeah.
the little cherub.
Very nice.
And if you want to look up the Walter A. Gordon story, another relative of Ted's, first black All-American at UC Berkeley, it was aired on PBS yesterday's work. First black graduate of Bolt Law School, first black Berkeley police officer. There's also a connection between Walter A. Gordon and Sarge Johnson. So a lot of interesting history.
What's the name? Walter Gordon?
Walter A. Gordon.
Very cool. All right, well, thank you. I wanted to, before we adjourn, just thank you all as new commissioners. You have been stepping up to the plate, and I really, really appreciate it. It's been wonderful having you on board, and thank you so much for all your volunteer efforts. It's making a difference.
And thank you,
Yeah.
Fred, for all of your
Mark that hour.
everything you guys do.
Well, we still have we have vacancies, so if you have
Yeah.
other folks who you think would be available to be commissioners, then
Yeah.
they have to go through the same process that you went through. The application, the link is on the back of your agenda. We understand that our friend Cordell has, he'd really like to see some young people, and so would we.
That'd be great.
Younger than you, and you're the young one here, but, you know.
Can we take our picture before we go?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's the young one.
Oh, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All right, Phil, in a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have second Our Lady, let's say Our Lady. Second, all in favor? Oh, wait a minute, Phil. Passes unanimously. All right, thank you.